Hey everyone, welcome to Up All Night DIY. I'm Monica. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm making Humpty Dumpty. Let's get into it. I was poking through my stash and I found the Styrofoam Egg, which gave me the idea of making a wee Humpty Dumpty. Then I found some random pieces of Styrofoam left over from previous projects, so I thought I'll use these to make as well. Why not, right? Nothing goes to waste. The egg already had the bottom cut off, making it flat, which saves me a step. I'll grab a handful of Crayola Air Dry Clay, I'll condition it by kneading it, and I'll roll it flat. Nice and thin. See? I'll wrap my egg in the clay, pushing the clay into the Styrofoam until the entire egg is covered. I'm cutting off the excess and working the clay into the foam with my fingers. I just keep manipulating it until everything is filled in. I'm tapping the bottom to flatten the clay to the egg. I'll roll it around on the table to smooth it. To make the top of his hat, I cut 2 circles with my cookie cutter. Now I'm rolling a thin clay cane or snake or rope, whatever you want to call it, and make it nice and long, measuring to see where I need to cut it. This will be the band to his tam. And I'll flatten it with a craft stick. I used the rest of that snake to make a frame, I guess you would call it, for the band of his tam, which I will wrap around it. I'll lightly dampen the clay with my brush and use the handle to incorporate the clay of the band to the egg by pulling it down and rolling the brush handle over it. I do this all the way around the band. I'll shape the top of his tam with my circles, which I'll stuff with a wad of clay to give it some height. I'll sandwich it between the 2 circles and pinch the edges together. Looks like a ravioli. I'll push a couple of toothpicks onto the top of his head. And I push the ravioli on top of those. I'm pushing up the front a bit to give that tam shape. Again, I'll incorporate the clay same as before. I've rolled a small ball of clay and cut it in half. These will be his cheeks. I place them where I'd like them, and I'll work them into the clay with my brush, same as before. I rolled another cane a little thicker for his arms, and I'll cut them in half lengthwise, and then I'll pop them in place. Again, using my brush to secure them in the same manner as before. I flatten more clay to cover my other 2 pieces of Styrofoam that will be Humpty's wall. I'll cover them the same way as I did the egg, wrapping the clay around the pieces, kind of like wrapping a gift, pressing it into the foam. Now that they're all covered with clay, I'll use some toothpicks to attach the ledge part to the wall part. I'll use another clay cane to fill in the gap between the ledge and the wall, and I'll incorporate it the same way as I did everything else. I use my brush handle to create bricks by pushing it into the clay, pulling and rotating the brush, and I do this to the front and sides. His legs are a clay cane, which I'll fold in half to make sure they're the same size. I've cut a clay ball in half for his feet. I'll give them a teardrop shape by pinching the end a wee bit. He's going to have some fancy spats, so I'll add a small amount of cane to the top of each shoe, and I'll use my brush to secure them together. I use toothpicks to attach the spats. I separate the legs and give them a wee curve at the knee. I'll be attaching the legs directly to the wall after 2 days when everything is dry and paint it. As per a tip from my bud, David Owens, I had loosely covered my pieces with a plastic bag, which apparently keeps the clay from cracking too much. Thanks, David. I'll link his channel below. I'll paint Humpty's face and hands with Ceramcoat Oyster white. And I want to apologize because from here on out, for some reason, I am out of shot a lot. Everything will get 2 coats. While he dries a bit, I'll base coat the wall with Ceramcoat Drizzle Gray. Humpty's hat and shirt, I'll paint white. And I'll also kind of dry brush / stipple his face and hands with the white too. Give it some dimension. His tan band will be velvet teal, and again, I'm sorry I'm out of frame there. And I'll paint his pants with it also. Again, out of frame. At least this part's in frame. Humpty's wearing a sailor suit, so I'll paint the details of his shirt. Some stripes on his cuffs. I give him that wee flap on the back. I'll add some stripes. With watermelon, I painted some stars on his cuffs, and we'll get a watermelon bow tie too. I'll dip dot a rosette on his tam with watermelon, and I'll give it a couple wee ribbons too. I'll get a couple of stars on his flap in the back, and dip dot buttons back there too. And on the legs of his pants, I'll give him some red buttons as well. A teal dot in his rosette too. I'll paint his eyes with white, like the letter D on its side. And I'll give his spats a coat of white. Dip dot his eyes with rain gray. And I'll outline them too. For his nose, I'll make 3 little letter U's right next to each other. Some quick comma eyebrows. And a simple wee mouth. Just a couple of curved lines, and I'll fill it in. The bottom part of his spats are also rain gray, and his spat buttons too. I'm dry brushing his cheeks with Americana Terra Coral. And I'll dot his nose. Boop. I'll use some floating medium to add some shading around his shirt with Drizzle gray. Just right where his face and his shirt meet. I'll go all the way around. And I'll add some where his hands and his cuffs meet. A little where his hat brim meets his head. And a little around his spats. I'm adding a watermelon stripe around the bottom of the band to clean that edge up a bit. I'm also cleaning up the edge of his spats with Hippo gray. I dry brush his tam and his shirt with Americana Spa Blue. His pants, I'm dry brushing with Ceramcoat North Sea, getting in all the little nooks and crannies. The bottom section of his spats, I dry brush with Hippo. I'll dot white highlights in his eyes and coral on his cheeks. The wall is dry brushed first with rain gray and then with Hippo. I'm using the same colors on the ledge, but with a much softer touch. And I'll add a touch of white too. Then some Irish moss here and there. I'll seal all the pieces with Mod Podge before I assemble. I hot glue the legs onto the wall. And finally, Old Humpty Dumpty. There he is. I apologize for some of my shots being out of frame, and I hope you like my Humpty Dumpty. It was a good way to use up some odds and ends. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out David's channel. He's dead on. You'll find the link in the description box along with my supplies. Stay creative, my friends. Thanks for hanging with me. See you next time. Up all night with Monica.